What's going on, you guys? My name's Ty Knotts and welcome to Top 5 Unknowns, 5 more Glitch in the Matrix stories. Number 5. So I want to preface this by saying that this isn't a joke and I have no mental illness. This is not a hallucination, it's a very true story. So I was sitting at my local Panera Bread and drinking a delicious chai latte and eating some yogurt today at around 7 a.m. I was listening to music and staring out the window at the people across the street. The drive-thru order box is directly in my view, and a lady pulls up to the drive-thru. I look around the room and I see a group of men sitting together laughing and talking, and just past them I see a man riding away by the window with a piping hot cup of coffee's steam wafting through the air. For some reason I couldn't stop focusing on this man. Something about him just didn't seem right. It's like he was lit differently than everything else. Suddenly, everything started moving really slowly, and my music started playing slowly and then suddenly just paused. It seemed as though this man's steam had paused mid-air, and the woman who was now pulling away was frozen in time, and so were the men who were mid-laughter. Everything is completely frozen. Then suddenly, the man and woman are gone, but the man by the window is still there, but he isn't lit differently anymore. His steam is moving again, and the restaurant is empty aside from myself and him. For some reason, I look over to my left to a spot where I used to sit often to work on my computer. And that's when I see me from 2 years ago working diligently on her computer with the steaming chai latte beside her. She looks up and we make eye contact, and her eyes widen and my heart quickens, and then she's suddenly gone. The woman I saw pull into the drive-thru is back, but now she's repeating the same order she did before. I heard the group of men tell the same joke and laugh, and my music was back closer to the beginning of the song, but the man by the window was suddenly gone. My yogurt had 2 previously eaten bites back in it, and I felt very heavy and tired all of a sudden. It was like everything was repeating itself. Also, I now suddenly have a memory of making eye contact with my future self and remarking on how differently she looked and how I wanted to talk to her. I don't understand what happened. I'm really freaked out. Number 4. I know the experience I'm going to tell you sounds like the storyline in the TV show The OA. But the fact is, watching it recently made me understand that if another person thought the same thing, maybe I wasn't completely crazy. It's about a dream I had years ago. I dreamt that I was waking up, lying on some sort of table which was slowly going up. Before opening my eyes, I heard 2 voices. 2 different men were there. I felt a hurry in their voices, but couldn't understand what they were saying until one of them, which felt a little far away and on my left, said, "It worked." I opened my eyes and I see the second man in front of me. I looked into his green eyes and suddenly I feel an entire lifetime coming back to me. I know at this moment that I'm in love with this man. He's my soulmate and he found me. I know that I'm at home. I feel like I'm emerging from a very long sleep and that all that I lived before wasn't my real life. I finally come to and I was back at home. The green-eyed man looked at me with pure joy, smiling. I want to tell him that I recognize him and that I love him, but I suddenly feel like I'm going to fade away. I then hear the other man screaming something like we're losing her. I try to stay awake but keep looking at those eyes which are now sad and frightened. I can't keep my eyes from shutting down. Then I woke up in my bed crying, feeling as though I'd just suffered a terrible loss. I know that somehow it was real. Another dimension, reality, or parallel universe, I have no idea. I tried to reconnect with this several times but never succeeded. Number 3. Myself and other family members have no words for what I experienced today, so I'm writing it here. I attended my uncle's funeral today. He was the victim of a hit-and-run accident that resulted in his passing. They ultimately ran him off the road and into a tall wooden electrical pole. After the funeral, I wanted to visit the crash site because my family has since placed up a memorial there. I had not yet seen the actual crash site. I'd only seen photos from family members. No photos contained the actual pole that he'd hit. Upon arrival to the site, I first acknowledged the pole. It was split in half and splintered. There was rebar around it that had come apart. I almost took a photo but didn't want to picture such a heartbreaking image. When I saw the reality of how damaged the pole was and how hard his vehicle must have hit, I completely lost it and burst into tears. I called my mom once I got home to let her know that I'd stopped by. I mentioned not realizing how bad the pole was, and she asked me what I was talking about. The city had just removed the pole, and they were there to take it away because of how badly damaged it was. It was a safety risk, and they told us that they felt bad that we would have to constantly look at that as a reminder. It's been in the back of my mind a couple times that I've been to the site since then. I said to my mom, "You don't understand. I was there about 2 hours ago and I saw the pole." I described every detail of it to her, and it all matched up with what she'd seen on the old pole. "I don't understand. It makes no sense to me why I would have seen that." I also spoke to my best friend who was with me at the crash site, and she has no memory of our conversation about the pole and how badly damaged it was. She only remembers seeing a new pole. Number 2. I'm writing this post about 20 minutes after this happened. I'm home alone at the moment, and I have been for several hours. I walked into the bathroom, sat on the toilet, and began to do my business. I put my phone on the vanity to my left after scrolling through Reddit for several minutes, closing it and my Messenger app, which I also had open. I left the door open since I was alone, and my dog walked in and sat in front of me. Suddenly, as I was doing my business, I heard a bit of static and a very distinct voice to my left say crap. It sounded as though he may have said something before that, but I only retained a very clear crap at the end. I mentioned that my dog was present because she acted as though she heard the voice too. She glanced up at the vanity when it had happened. I felt extremely uneasy, and I still do, especially because I was taking a crap when this voice supposedly said crap. After a few seconds of being in my what the heck state, I placed my girlfriend's makeup sponge on my phone camera and finished up my business. When I was done, I checked the volume on my phone and everything was turned off. No alarms, notifications, no calls or anything. I also checked my call history thinking I may have butt dialed someone, but I had no recent calls. How could I have heard something if the volume was off, even if I had butt dialed someone? Also, the voice was a masculine one, and my Google phone is set to a female voice. I then turned my phone off and put it in my bedroom. Thinking that maybe I heard the TV, I headed to the living room, but the TV was still paused. I then sat on the couch with my laptop and asked Google, which led to unclear and off-topic answers, so now I'm here. I'm curious what this could have been. Number 1. This is so tiny and insignificant, but my husband and I are both pretty freaked out, and I figured it would be worth sharing. We moved into our apartment a little over a year ago. It was almost completely empty when we moved in, with the exception of a blue and white patterned doormat that the previous residents left behind. It was convenient and pretty well matched with our furniture, so we just kept it. Our dogs loved it and used it as a second bed. It's in our living room right by the front door, which my husband and I both use often, and it's in a very visible part of our apartment. Basically, I see this doormat all the time. But last night when I got home from work, I sat on the couch with my husband facing away from the front door and the doormat. He then said to me, "Look straight ahead and don't turn around." I know this is a really weird question, but what pattern is on our doormat? I couldn't remember the name of the pattern, but I did my best to describe it, saying something along the lines of, "It's that 4-leaf clover type pattern. I don't know the word for it." He looked very excited and said, "Yes, quadrifoil. You remember a quadrifoil doormat too. But look at our doormat right now. Our doormat is now a diamond pattern. It's the same colors as we remember before, and it's a little dingy and covered in dog hair from frequent use, but it's very obviously a diamond pattern." I seriously would have bet all my money that the pattern was quadrifoil, and my husband is saying the exact same thing. We looked back through old pictures and everything we found shows this same diamond pattern mat. This isn't the first time something like this has happened to us either. I posted a few years ago about a mysterious cabinet appearing in the kitchen at our old apartment. We both have the same kind of very unsettled feeling about the doormat as we did about the cabinet. I have no way of checking, but I wish I could find out if that cabinet is still at the old place or if it disappeared again. Here's a bonus story for you that was just too short to fit on the normal list. I was about 15 and living in Vegas at the time. I was wearing a dress, walking in the heat to the bus stop after seeing my boyfriend. It was so hot that day, and I had this thought that maybe if I had a sign asking for a ride, then someone may give me a safe ride home. I made my way up to the bus stop, and I waited for a while for it to arrive. This woman drove up and asked me if I wanted a ride, and I politely declined. She drove off but came around again and asked, "Are you sure? I thought I saw you on the median holding a sign asking for a ride." I had only fantasized about holding this sign in hopes to get out of the heat. It was so bizarre, and I definitely took the ride. She was kind, not weird, and gave me a ride just out of the kindness of her heart. I'll never forget that day, and it continues to boggle my mind. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep updated with our videos.